Jordan, my friend, have you heard the news?
Whoa, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. The team's back. We're all good. The team's better than us.
That's right. We are good, and the team is better.
That's yes, officially.
What?
Cole, it's officially official.
What an amazing weekend.
We got a team to watch, and not only is it a team to watch, they played like a trillion games this weekend.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
There was so much to watch, and it's all very good and watchable.
It was like, hey, great news. We won, guys. We're playing again in 8 minutes. I'm like, oh, I gotta quick cancel my plans.
Yeah, that is a little weird. I was like, I walked away so happy, and I was like, just thinking about like how, oh man, this is going great, man. I can't wait to watch tomorrow. And then someone was like, hey, dude, they're playing. It's like, wait, what? Huh?
Yeah. Well, they're playing now. It's for the championship, Cole. Where are you?
Well, I am so glad, that we are here. Yeah. Let's do the contractual obligations. 100 Talk and Fast Speak last week. Anything we do really in life or on Twitch is powered by Rip It, and I've got a special flavor because we have a special guest tonight.
Yeah,
I am drinking the F-bomb tonight because no F-bombs will be said on our family friendly stream. This is as vulgar as it gets.
Stands for fun bomb, Cole.
It does. It's actually, I haven't had this flavor in quite some time. It's very good.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
There's no time to waste, Cole. We've got a lot of things to talk about.
All right.
I propose that before we do anything else, dry peek last week.
No
if
spills.
You were watching the game closely. No. We did a little bit of that. We might have somebody on later to talk about that a little bit. We'll see. We gave that strategy a shot. I'm not sure how it went.
Yeah.
Cole, some topics. Do we have a topic on the board?
We have a topic on the board. Let's go.
Start the clock. Well, Cole, you could say this was a statement game. And the question I have for you is, what statement does this make? Statement weekend. What statement did we make, Cole?
Well, so this could have gone very badly with that second Luminosity game, for instance. I think the statement that we ended up making, well, there's two. It's a two-pronged statement.
Oh, okay.
The first is, hey, we're good at Valorant, actually. Right? Like, I'm not going to say like the world is placed in a qualifier event. Like, I'm not going to say that. But I feel like we've established ourselves as legitimately competitive. And then the other thing is, the boys kind of have some grit to them. There were some times where it was looking kind of bleak. Like, again, in that second Luminosity match, especially, like, I keep thinking about that, how we pulled that back from, the depths. And we did that against Moon Raccoons also in the previous tournament. So yeah, I'm feeling like those are the two main takeaways for me is that, hey, we're legit and we got some grit, and that rhymes. So top that.
Wow. I'll try. I'm not going to be able to, but I'll give it a shot, Cole. Here's my statement that I'm taking from this one. It's, you had better watch out for us, because all of the stuff that I think people were hoping they could hedge against our showing, I think is gone, right? Like, new roster, boomers, new to the game, first, real competitive outing, or at least like, the continuation of our first outing. So I think we're fast forwarding to the point in our Valorant team's career here where we can just say, yeah, we're here to play, right? And I think that if you draw up against us, you are worried, because here's the other thing to think about. There is some time now before we are going to show back up on a competitive Valorant stage, if I'm not completely misreading the structure of this thing, which is possible. I don't have a degree in competitive structures, but we might have, I don't know the exact date. It's like weeks, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be longer between the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next time we play, we're going to double the amount of time that we've had as a competitive team to practice and get better. So who knows what we look like when we show up to the final, the main event here, as we're calling it, Cole. I would be afraid, and they should be too.
Nice timing.
Ding,
That's
ding,
perfect.
Ding. Send us the next one. And you actually kind of gave us a segue here. We should have had you go second, because this next topic, Cole, is we had some close matches. I don't know if you were aware. A couple overtimes, a couple of key clutches, a couple of shots through a wall that really changed the way this went. Are these gritty wins, Cole, or are we just an inconsistent team that needs to get lucky to actually make it to where we did.
Yeah, this is funny because this is like getting slapped in the face after I just said that about our gritty wins. Well, actually, it wasn't grit. Look, here's what I think. It's such a stereotypical cop-out answer, but it's both, obviously. Like, look, you and I have been in competitive environments in like traditional sports when we were young, vibrant men, where we should have been winning and we were not, and it sucked and it was mentally hard. And sometimes we dropped some games, sometimes we did not. Sometimes we came through, sometimes we did not, right? These dudes are making a habit of coming back against teams that like they really should be beating. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's one of the senses that I'm getting. And it's not going to be 100%. And there are other things to explain, like how do we get 0-3 in a best of 5, right? But the thing is, I'm making that measurement against teams that I feel we should be superior to. And that's actually good because it always feels bad when you lose to the surprise team, right? The team that doesn't feel like they belong as much. Right. And I feel like we're going to minimize that with this group of guys. Like that's kind of the way it's leaning for me, which means that honestly, just a little less embarrassment. And as a 100 Thieves fan, that is nice.
We'll take it. In other words, here's my thought on this. It's still so early, right? Simo last week told us Moon Raccoons is a squad and they can show up. There's part of me that wants to maintain the Cinderella dream here and just say, maybe, I mean, the cool thing is they're going to show up and they're going to have another chance at this, right?
Yeah.
They could show up and surprise some people. If we are as good as we think we are, that means that they're also pretty good. Or we develop at an exponential rate and they're garbage and we were garbage, but now we're not. We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be shocked if they show up and at least put up a good fight, give somebody a scare. I think I'm at time. I started the clock late. How are we doing?
4, 3, 2, 1. That was a fast countdown because I started behind. Move on, dads.
All right, cool. One full competitive rotationally start the clock. So I don't wrong myself again. In the books, we've had 2 matches against TSM. We've had 1 match against C9. We've had one match against Sentinels. And now Envy, we're just ticking off the list of all of everyone's favorite teams from Valorant competitive scene. And we're making a bit of a name for ourselves here, Cole. Do we have a rival at this point? Do you consider us to have a rival in this scene, or are we just too good for everybody? Let's be honest.
I wish that was the case, that we were just too good for everybody. No, I think this is... We're taking our first few steps on that journey, and I think TSM is the best candidate so far. One of the problems with rivalries is that it has to go 2 ways, right? You have to be able to take wins from that team and make the series competitive to be a thing. And now that we have 2-0'd TSM, there's a little bit more ground to stand on with that. I would say that Envy was set up to maybe become a thing after Hastro's tweets, which honestly, as far as I understand, they actually were not aimed at us, but they kind of just hurt a little bit. The truth hurts a little bit, right? And
do we believe that? Do you believe that?
What? That they weren't aimed at us?
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. It was more an Overwatch thing.
He's new to the internet. He's created his Twitter account in November of 2020. He hasn't seen anybody say we're just the apparel organization.
No, look. I'm not. Again, as 100 Thieves fans, the truth hurts sometimes, right? And look, I like I said, I don't think it was actually originally aimed at us. I think it was an Overwatch thing, but that storyline was set up. But quite frankly, when we get dominated that bad, we're not going to really kick that off into a rivalry. Right? If we would have won that, it would have been something. But so right now, I don't think we actually have established that yet, but we're getting close with TSM. The banter was good. The Wardell and Dicey thing with the Jet diff, 8-0 against Wardell. Ooh. Wow. That's starting in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, that was top notch. Honestly, that's the thing that's so fun about rivalries is it takes somebody, and everybody likes to get upset, or not everybody. Some people like to get upset. Oh, that's, he shouldn't have said that. He went too far. 100 noobs, on his Instagram, whatever. But as fans, so it makes this stuff fun. Now, the next time these guys show up, I guarantee you our young guns they're going to be prepared. They're going to want to play as best they can. I can't wait for the rematch, Cole. I think we're on our way to a good rivalry with TSM. On to the final topic, Cole. And it's, I'll segue this one. It's about these young guns, or you could pick a boomer. It's up to you. If you had to pick one of our players so far, Cole, to put on the Valorant All-Star squad performing in the 2024 Olympics, who would it be?
Dude, this is so hard for me. Like, I feel like what I've said in the past is that our players all pop off at different times, and that is incredibly cool. And as a fan, that's what you love to see. I really don't know. Now, All-Star in traditional sports kind of leans more towards established names than young guns. All right, so I'm gonna take that path, and say that I saw some cleanliness from Nitro over the two main events that we've been watching that has made me quite proud of him now. So I'm going to give him a slight nod as part of the Boomer squad over the Zoomer squad. But quite frankly, I think at any moment, any of these dudes could really prove themselves on a big stage, and I'd hear an argument for all of them. So please make yours.
All right, cool. My cop-out argument is it could be any of them. And I think, like,
take a side, man. Take a stand.
Hold on. Let me really sandbag this a little bit more. I've got some time on the clock still. I mean, Hiko's Sova map was insane. The some of the clutches, right? Some of the lurking, the big brain plays from Steel, like Nitro 3Ks. And then you've got, all of the highlight reel clips from both Dicey and Asuna. I think that from this specific weekend, I like Dicey a lot.
Man, he was really nasty. He was nasty on Jet.
He was consistent. He's pretty much single-handedly won us the game, the second map against TSM. He was the only player on our squad positive. Maybe there's one other, but he went off, dude. He was feeling himself. So I like that. I think right now the Jet up combo is kind of where it's at. He's going to have a tough running if you're talking true all-star, because there's a lot of good operas out there. But he was feeling himself. I think it's a good sign for us. And I do believe that the true answer to this is, if you're preparing for this team, you kind of have to prepare for any of these guys to show up and dominate a map. And that is a really hard thing to prepare for.
Just imagine if that was the case for our LCS team. How different would that feel? Free agency is this week, everybody. Let's see what happens.
Oh, man. Boy, we can only hope. Look, it's the off season. Anything can happen. Cole, well done. A+ job to you. Gold star for each of your correct answers. So four gold stars if you're keeping track at home. Let's move on to the next segment, Cole. There's a lot to talk about this week, and more of it is stuff that is beyond our comprehension of this game than not. So we have brought back the resident Valorant expert and caster extraordinaire, Simo.
What's up, baby?
Soundboard. Press the applause button, Cole. Yay!
Oh wait, a soundboard. Wait, I've got air horns on it. Here we go.
There you go.
Simo.
We'll go with air horns.
Yeah.
Simo, thanks for coming back. You were busy this weekend.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know if I'm TSM Simo or from 100 Thieves Simo. I'm either one at this point.
Wait, are you wearing a jersey? Are you wearing a jersey?
I'm just wearing a blue shirt, just to contrast the green screen, just to make some. But I don't have a 100 Thieves jersey, but I think we could change that.
Okay, well, Simo, my promise to you, yes, we will send you one. I will provide you with a 100 Thieves jersey. Okay?
I will wear it with pride. Yeah.
All right, you got
put
that.
On a broadcast for us and just see how many hate mails you receive.
Yeah. Right. Well, what we need is another Reddit thread, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Neural theft. We're going to take all of the valuable bits from your brain and leave the garbage that's in ours in its place. We got some questions for you this week. We're going to switch it up a little bit. We want to ask you some of the things that we are not quite well equipped enough yet to tackle ourselves. So I want to start with the hardest hitting question of them all.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew this, Simo, but Nitro went home early and was playing from his house. As somebody who's involved in the scene, who sees it, LAN is kind of goofy, or not LAN, sorry, online is kind of goofy. What do you make of that? Is that, and this is going to segue into the next question, but how are you reading into that one?
I don't think it's too big of a problem. I follow a lot of what the server locations are when teams play. So Sentinels all moved to Dallas or to Houston or whatever. and they all play from the same compound, and they get amazing ping because there's a server right there in Dallas.
Mhm.
And so when you're playing in a competitive match, you have to decide on what server you want to play on. And the best server is usually one that is averaged out for ping for all 10 players in the lobby. And so actually, in listening to some of the Cloud9 conversation, they will not play Sentinels on Dallas because they don't want them to have the upper advantage, and they want a little bit more of a spread even ping. But players from Cloud9, they're in Vancouver, they're in Toronto, they're in Florida, they're in LA, they're all over. So if you play on Dallas against Sentinels, you're screwed. Like you're pretty much screwed, right? Because they're gonna have, while it is average ping for them, it's not average ping for everybody. So Nitro going back, they're just gonna find a server that works for everybody. It's not that big of a deal. But what it does make out to be is if he does not come back for the 3rd to the 6th of December, that communication that they had at the 100 Thieves Cash compound is not going to be there because they were all there in person.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you got to get you have the compound, you have the team rooms, right? We saw some cool clips of the weekend of everybody being in that space. You can just tell it's good energy, good vibes, and I truly hope that we see him back. And I feel confident that we will.
Can I follow up here with just a quick thing? I mean, like, is this dismissive of the event itself, Simo?
What do you mean dismissive?
I mean, like him just leaving to play. Is it him not taking it as seriously?
Leaving to play, like he came to
play,
or
leaving the team to play by going back to, where is it, Louisiana that he's from?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've got a month till the major. Like there's a lot of time that he doesn't have to really be at the car. I think Hiko also went home somewhere. Like he's not easily accessible because he had tweeted out the other day that he made some pasta and meatballs with Rivington, and then he's like, "Oh, I gotta go home now. It was nice seeing Rivington." So I think the whole team after the end of the weekend. I think the whole team after the event is just kind of like, "We'll be back in a month. It's no big deal."
Wait, am I understanding wrong? I thought he went home a day early, right?
No. He went. I don't think so.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I am misinformed.
Yeah.
Wow, bad look for me.
Let's transition this into our next question, which is, we've heard some people saying that these teams are strategically holding back, right? And I don't know how many times I've seen somebody tweet and say, "Boy, I wish the stakes were," like, who doesn't want to get a cool 250K? Is that what the prize pool is, or the
100K? It's
100K. Okay, who cares about 100K? How much weight are you putting into that argument that the teams, either the players or the teams or both, are intentionally holding some things back here so that they can show up and surprise people or give people a false sense of confidence or whatever it is?
I think with everything, you need to take the entirety of the open and the closed qualifiers with a potential grain of salt, right? That there is a small window of opportunity that teams could be withholding back that they want to save for the major. Now, the bigger question becomes, well, let's then talk about Cloud9 versus Renegades, a matchup where Cloud9, if they were supposedly holding back, why did they hold back hard enough that they got knocked out and they'll have to go to another closed qualifier? So then you have to ask yourself, well, then what about the other side of the bracket? TSM versus 100 Thieves. Was TSM holding back? Because if they did, then they held back too far because 100 Thieves 2-0'd them, and then they moved on. So, I think with everything, you need to take an incredibly high dosage of salt. It's no longer a grain as much as you can handle, because there's a perspective of teams not maybe running their entire competitive strat book online, because there's still windows of opportunity to find success, and I think even up against the Sentinels, it was kind of like, what are they doing? Like, there was rounds where they were just randomly throwing. They were playing different agents than what they normally play, especially that first map on Bind. Sinatra is not someone that we normally see on Jet. He's usually on the Phoenix because he allows the team so much space with the run it back. But then it's his first time playing Jet, and usually Shazam plays Jet. Like, there's just so many ththings that we don't know that could be going on behind the scenes. Right. But I think for the most part, you can at least trust like more than 90% of your own body to say, like, these teams are trying. They might be holding back, but they're still trying. And so that doesn't mean that they're not trying to qualify. They're just maybe withholding some things from the strat book.
Yep. I think that I generally agree with that. I think the stakes, there are key cutoff points, right? And if you are saving your best strat for the next open qualifier or closed qualifier, that's where you go if you lose, you've done it wrong. Safe to say. So yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Cole, anything to add to that one?
Nope.
All right. I do want to see, and if you don't have perspective on this, then just let us know. But look, we got second. We got second, okay?
I'm
and
ready.
I want to know, how should we how confident should we be when it comes time for us to take down EU? I just want to know.
Oh, you just want to know about EU?
Just
like
you
don't care about anybody else?
Like Korea,
I got some
if you want to do Korea too.
I got some intel.
I want to know the whole story.
Okay, I got some intel. The problem with North America is that we see pockets of inconsistency across a majority of teams, right? We see the limelight come through. They have dominating maps, and they have like these glimmers of hope. They're like, wow, Cloud9's a great team. Envy's a great team. Sentinel's a great team. But then there's these pockets of inconsistency. Let's talk about all the other regions. EU, there's one king there. It's G2, sits at the top. And, I don't really know a whole lot about G2 from what I understand. I don't think they practice a lot, if I'm going to be honest, from what last I remember in casting the We Play Esports tournament, which is what they played in. They don't really practice a lot, but also the competitive environment for Europe kind of is rough. Because it's best of ones throughout the entirety of the First Strike. You don't really get the best level of competition when you're running best of ones all the way through. Brazil, from what I hear, is that they are the most aggressive teams you will ever face. So they will exploit weaknesses in every single North American team, because they will just go straight from the attacker spawn and sprint to the defender spawn and start to just attack from the defender spawn, which makes no sense. But they will find set plays to get behind enemy lines and just pop off and go wild. Yeah. And in Japan and in Korea, those two regions are phenomenal with utility usage. They will push you off with everything. They value more the utility than they do the weaponry. That, an eco round, they can still make it work if the utility is as effective as they need it to be. So NA, we see glimmers of hope of a good fundamental basis, and then it all kind of falls apart with a lack of consistency. I think what North America has going for it is they probably have the best aimers and the best fraggers across the entirety of the scene at the current moment. Europe might change as we see more CSGO pros jump over to European teams, but for the most part right now, I think the glimmer of hope for NA is that they can take duels quite well. But everyone else is running a whole different ball game, and international Valorant is going to look really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, to be honest, because it feels like, and we're going to talk about this in the Incendiary take, but it feels like so much of that Envy loss was us just getting out like teamed, if that makes sense, right? Like just their better synchronized team performance, like outdoing what we're able to do individually with all our fraggers. So yeah, that's a little scary for me. I'm not gonna lie, Simo, you put the fear of God in me.
There's time though. There's time. You guys have a lot of time. This is a new team. This is a new roster under the helm of Nitro. You guys are gonna be fine. And Steel as well. He's a very, very vocal person to have on the team.
Yeah.
Yep. You saw some of that coming through. So,
I'm gonna throw this out there before we move to Incendiary.
Yeah.
I got Intel DM to me a Twitch clip from Hiko saying that, yes, indeed, Nitro was home early. He was playing from home on that. Oh. So I'm putting that in Twitch chat to defend myself and clear my freaking name. So I only look mostly like an idiot and not entirely like an idiot.
That's fair.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. Redemption is so sweet, as we know. I experienced it this weekend with Valorant. Now I'm experiencing it live here on the podcast. Let's move to the Incendiary take, Jordan.
Molly.
Well called, Jordan.
There it is. All right, gentlemen. You know how this goes. This is coming from the community. This one's coming from our friend BC. Cole, I don't know if you spelled it out, but it's BC. So
we'll go with BC.
I'm reading this. So Envy was 100% the better team yesterday, and I do not think even if we played up to our potential, we would have won. Saying that, we didn't look like we were prepared, confident, or under any stress to win. One thing we can take note of is when the team is under pressure to win, we look dang good. That can be because of the other team faulting at the pressure being put on them as well, but we look very different in games that I feel we put all on the line. So it's kind of the same idea of, but it's a little twist. So I want to ask both you guys about this. It's not quite that we're phoning it in, but it's the pressure of some of these games. It's realizing that, we actually could lose this to Mooner Coons. that causes us to hit another gear. What do you guys think about that? Is that something you see as being a reality? Are we starting to see enough of that maybe that is part of the DNA of this team?
I mean, I think that's really what I was saying earlier, that I think, I agree with this take very much, that that grit comes out when we really need it to. And I like how BC couched this kind of with like, look, Envy is 100% the better team. And even if we played as well as we could play, we probably would have lost. Like, I'm on board with that too. And the whole variable that we were just talking about a little bit ago with these qualifier tournaments, and like, how, like, when does it really matter to play and when does it kind of muddies the water, but it does feel like pressure actually brings out the better side of 100T. And man, that feels good. I'm telling you, like, if that is the truth, and Simo, you can tell me what you think after this, if that is the truth, I really love that being a personality trait of the team.
Yeah, I think I agree. Envy, their run was a very interesting one. They beat one of the teams that I had pegged as a huge underdog that was going to have a lot of upside and complexity. Was that team. That was the first team that they had faced in the bracket. And from there, they qualified. And then they had to face Renegades, which is a little bit more of a closer match. Another underdog that they were able to overcome. And then, of course, the rest of the bracket felt, to be fair, a little bit more easier for Envy, as they had defeated underdog teams. I really wonder what the other side of the bracket would have looked like if Envy ended up on the bottom, had to face TSM or Sentinels or T1 or whatever.
Sure.
It would have been very interesting to see what that would have looked like. But I think across the other, hypothetical top 10 conversation teams like T1, Luminosity, even Sentinels can be a part of that discussion as well. And even Gen G, like, there's just a numerous amount of teams that can fit in that discussion. I think 100 Thieves can fit the bill as a team that takes it into overdrive. But it's the problem, I guess, becomes is if you're relying on that overdrive, when you run out of it, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do against fundamentally sound teams? My co-caster in esports, Doug, we always talk about Gen G being a fundamentally sound team. Well, Envy showed us this week, throughout the entirety of this week, that they are a fundamentally sound team. Once 100 Thieves irons out those fundamentals, I mean, they've got a lot of them down, but once they don't rely less so on that second gear and rely on the first gear,
Right.
we can definitely find ourselves in a much better position moving forward.
Yeah, it's like the flip the switch thing, right? That in NBA, especially, Simo, I'm sorry, we make so many like traditional sports and basketball analogies, especially, but there's that whole thing of there's a whole thing about LeBron flipping the switch, right? When it mattered, like for years, that's what they talked about, basically since 2015. And it's a real thing for him, right? It's like, underperformed a little bit in the regular season, and when playoffs come on, the switch gets hit, and then suddenly he wins a lot of stuff. And you certainly don't want to depend entirely on it, but it's just, man, it's a very rare trait, I feel like. So very lucky to have it. Jordan, sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, I'll just add, and then we can kind of wrap up. But I think I want to put a couple things out there that I'm interested to keep an eye on. One, let's not forget, first match against TSM, it was kind of echoes of Envy, right? Like, it was a similar type of match that ended in a similar way. Second match was entirely different. It looked completely different. We looked prepared. We looked serious. We took it to them. Right. So I want to put out there that there's a possibility here. And I don't typically tend to believe these things. I think there's a possibility that our players, we have a ton of veteran players. They're no strangers to competitive tournaments and playing part of a bigger game, right? Like, I don't think these guys are unaware of the fact that the difference between winning and losing to Envy is just one seeding, right? And so I'm guessing that they left that match not feeling like, oh man, we got slapped, like that's embarrassing. They probably left thinking, we're a lock for the main event and we're the 2 seed. That feels pretty good, right? And now we have even more time to practice. We know what Envy does because they showed up and they played hard. So I just want to put that out there. I don't know if I'm completely sold myself on that, but it's an interesting idea that I'm kind of new to this format. This competitive format is really interesting in the way it incentivizes teams to prepare or not, right? And Nitro goes home. Maybe they just said, yeah, but if you need to go ahead, because you can play from your house. We'll be good. We'll see you next week, right? Like, maybe that was it. So, and it wouldn't even be next week. It's a month. Simo, I'm sure you know about this because you probably
December
are
3rd to 6th is the major.
Okay,
3rd to
so
6th.
3rd to 6th, so just short of a
4
month.
weeks, yeah.
They've got a lot of prep time. We've got a lot of prep time. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to fast peek something else, I guess. See if we can find some, I don't know, cricket games to watch or something. But hey, we appreciate you guys.
Cricket games.
I guess we got a Warzone stream we can watch now.
Yeah, Tommy, welcome.
Tommy, yep. Well, I'll be watching that. But hey, that's gonna do it for this week. Simo, thank you as always for joining. If you are going to be casting any, I guess there's another open and another closed leading up to this, so there's plenty of Valorant to watch. I guess we could watch some of that if we wanted to. Are you going to be on that cast, do you think?
For open, I'm thinking, and this is something that you guys could probably get yourselves into if you wanted to, some co-streaming where you like just watch the game and they give you like branding. And for any 100 Thieves games, you guys could probably do co-streams for it. And just be like, oh, what's going on? I have no idea, but let's keep watching.
Right.
But probably gonna do some co-streaming for the open qualifier because I want to kind of rest my mental after the Reddit explosion.
Oh man.
But then for the closed qualifier, I will be casting the closed qualifier, so that's going to be exciting.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I did want to ask you guys before we kind of close things up, how relieved were you to be one of the 4 teams to make it in? Because there's Cloud9, there's TSM, there are some bloodthirsty teams, and you were one of them. How relieved were you guys watching the broadcast?
I'm not gonna lie, dude. The stakes for me were incredibly high because I am developing that, and I said it a couple times today on the pod. I'm developing this complex where I'm very sensitive to this like 100 Thieves is no good at esports thing, right? And the only way you can make that meme worse is if you spend a lot of money and get the same bad results.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So as soon as this roster becomes known as a roster who underachieved, the meme grows. And that's what I was like terrified of. Fortunately, we got a squad. So yes, there's a huge sense of relief for me. Jordan, what about you?
I'm exactly the same. Yeah. I think it's fun for us to talk about them thinking it's low stakes. But yeah, you gotta, I mean, it just puts us in the absolute polar opposite position that we were in just a month ago, which is fantastic. And this is exactly where we want to be. So yeah.
I could have enjoyed a more decisive victory over Luminosity once we got out of groups. You know, that would have been in order for me. Cause like if it looked like the first Luminosity game, I would have been A-okay, but I was terrified that we were going to lose that one.
It was super fun to watch though. I'm loving this. Competitive Valorant is going to be a force in the esports world. I cannot wait. And we're sitting in pole position, at least in NA. We'll have to see what the world brings us, but it will be fun. Gentlemen, we'll do this again. Who knows when, but we'll be back for sure, one way or the other. Maybe after the next close, we can get on here and do a little bit of scouting report once we know who else is seeding into our group.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, all right, Simo, thank you as always. Cole, cue the outro music and
boop, boop, boop. You're supposed to talk over it.
We'll see you next time, everybody. We love you. We miss you all.